we're going to enjoy some wonderful tiki drinks this evening. We're going to go back to the canon, and if you talk to or read, if you talk to Martin Kate or his lovely wife Rebecca and their book Smuggler's Cove, you will see that it says that there are certain drinks that are in the tiki canon that everybody should know. We're going to do two of those drinks. One of those drinks is the Fog Cutter, and the other is the Venerable Zombie. Now, if you look at Minimalist Tiki, you will see that both of those are also included in his minimalist number of tiki drinks that you should know and have the ingredients on hand to do. Now, before we get too far deep into this, I would like to point out that it is a Friday night. I finished work, I turned around, I cooked a couple of Cornish game hens, I sucked at least one of those down and turned around and then started work on my bar, which we had put a bunch of stuff on during the week. So I'm not well practiced in tonight's drinks or tonight's presentation. So you get what you came for. At least I haven't been drinking ahead of this, so no pre-gaming on my part. So we're going to give this a try. If you notice me glancing over here a little more often, it's because the recipes are here and I haven't had a chance to really look over them in too much detail. And despite the fact that I was making zombies last weekend, I remember very little of making those zombies, so this will be an entirely new experience. All right, so the Fog Cutter. The Fog Cutter is an interesting drink because the Fog Cutter has an inordinately large, what I consider an inordinately large amount of lemon juice in it. So we're going to use a full 2 ounces of lemon juice, another ounce of orange juice, that's a full 3 ounces of citrus, half ounce of orgeat, and you can use any orgeat that you'd like. I happen to have made some pistachio orgeat a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I'm going to be using that in this drink. Then we have a very bizarre mixture of alcohols. You're used to seeing, I think, with tiki drinks, 2 or 3 different rums put together in order to have a certain rum profile that you want. Well, for the Fog Cutter, they do the same thing, except that flavor profile that they want, they're going to get at by combining rum, gin, and brandy. So we're going to see how this all comes together with what I have on hand. After that, we're going to shake this with some ice. We're going to pour it into a mug, and we're going to actually drink those, because that sounds like a plan. Now, we are being wonderful social distancers, but we do have guests here. So we have a couple of guests sitting out on the back patio that are sufficiently social distanced from us, and they are here to help us knock back a couple of these cocktails, because I'm going to be making 2 of each, and there's no way Star and I are there's no way I'm handling that. Star, my sweetie, might, but we'll see how this goes. All right, so we're starting with 2 cocktail tins, and to that we're going to add 2 ounces of lemon juice to both. So here is some lemon juice, freshly squeezed by my sweetie. The lemon juice is probably about 2 hours old. Maybe, yeah, 2.5, maybe 3, something like that. So 2 ounces lemon juice, each one of these guys. You notice the spilling? That's why we have bar mats. All right, so there's 2 ounce lemon, 2 ounce lemon. Really hard to pour out of these guys. Ordinarily, I would have swapped this into something with a pour spout, but as I pointed out, we're short on prep time tonight. All right, so we got 2 ounces of lemon in both of those guys. We have my wife.
I'm masked because I'm out with our guests.
And purple hair, redone purple hair. Yep, which matches the shirt, the blouse. Yep. Don't lift up the blouse. We'll get in trouble with the FCC or someone, or I don't know who. All right, next up, we need orange juice. Orange juice. Uh-oh, orange juice. What did I do with the orange juice? Hun, what did I do with the orange? There. Right in front of me. That's what I did with the orange juice. Okay, so we got 1 ounce of orange juice is going in each one of these. And again, freshly squeezed. Since it was the second thing she squeezed, it's a little more fresh. So there we go. We're going to go 1 ounce orange juice into each of those. All right, next up, the half ounce of orgeat. Here is my pistachio orgeat. I know I love using these Torani containers because they're really convenient for holding just about the right amount that you want. They've got a narrow spout so you can pour fairly easily. All right, ½ ounce pistachio orgeat. And there's a shout out to John Schott, who gave me the pistachios to enable me to do this, and also was responsible for the idea of making an orgeat out of pistachio. And I was thinking here all along that orgeats had to be made out of almonds. Silly, silly me. All right, so there we go. We've got the orgeat. Now we need 2 ounces of a kind of neutral Spanish or Puerto Rican style rum. So what we're going to use here is just the straight up Bacardi's Havana Club Blanco, and that is 2 ounces. So we're going to go 2 ounces of that. It's very strange because people are watching me out on the patio via live stream, and I can just barely hear them. So I can tell that there's this delay as my voice goes through the ether and comes back at me. Fortunately, they are not close enough that we don't have to worry. So that we don't have to worry. What are we going to do? We're going to do 1 ounce of brandy in each of these. Let's see. There we go. 1 ounce brandy. Another ounce brandy. Now, oh, that's tasty. I am not a brandy connoisseur. I don't know a good brandy from a bad brandy and just haven't made that much of a examination of it. But what I do know is that my father drank Christian Brothers, either VS or VSOP, and so when I need brandy, that's the brandy I keep on hand. So the Christian Brothers, besides, I don't care. It's actually really good mixing brandy. And then next up, we need the dry gin, Bombay Sapphire here, distinctive blue bottle. We only need a ½ ounce of that. ½ ounce. ½ ounce. Splash in my face. Wipes back.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Yosa.
Hey, I can't tell who's on.
Dave Henson.
Dave Heinzen, yes. Yosa's on. All right, cool. Along with a little thing in the corner that says updates are available for your machine. Ignore that. Just whatever. Okay, fog cutter. We're just going to dump some ice in, shake the fog cutters, and then we're going to pour those into glasses straight up. All right, so that's how that's going to work. So I need ice, which is right here. Sort of a Mayan-looking Olmec something, old Mexico, old Central American ice bucket here. Got this from my parents. I remember seeing it on their bar, and so brings back fond memories. Hence, I enjoy using it. There's also a matching water pitcher, which has this kind of lizardy god thing on it, which is kind of cool as well. All right, ice goes away. Then we're going to lid these guys up. All right, you get to see me try to do a two-handed shake. So hopefully these things are in nice and tight, and here we go. Tequila, no. All right, those look cold enough. Time for some fog cutter action. I'm going to go here with highball glasses for the fog cutters. Pop that. In we go. Always pays to have a strainer on hand, right? There we go. don't want to get too full with this because we're not quite done. That goes in. This goes over here. On lid the second. Again, you note my blazing speed, which is part of the reason why I will never be a professional bartender. Did you miss the sarcasm hashtag on that? All right, here's our basic fog cutter, but it's not done. The fog cutter recipe calls for a float of a ½ ounce of cream sherry on top of this. Now, this put me in an existential problem. I don't have any sherry on hand. I don't have any cream sherry on hand. So I immediately reached out to various friends of mine that work in the industry and went, what do I do? What can I do here? Should I use port? No, might be a little too sweet. Suggestions were made to use a variety of other things, like a really funky rum for a little quarter or ½ ounce on there. I said, well, I don't happen to have a sherry, but what I do have is some scotch that has been finished in sherry casks. And to a person, when I suggested this, they went, well, that's kind of going off book, but I'm interested in finding out what that tastes like. So here we go. We're going to float a ½ ounce right on top there. Another ½ ounce right there. And this is one of my favorite single malts. This is the Ben Riach Pedro Jimenez cask. Little sweetness from the sherry cask really comes through. It's very nice. All right, we do need some sort of garnish for this. Anything you really want here. We got a little skull, because that's kind of how I feel, with a little bit of dried pineapples just sitting there. You can do all sorts of other things. Since there's orange in here, do a quick peel of the orange. Oh, nobody say a word. If you can hear the music in the background, I know it's Nickelback. I don't care. I like them. All right, so we'll express a little there, express a little here. We're just going to dangle that over the side just like that. It's vacation time, right? We need a vacation. We all need a vacation. So here we go. We're going to put drink umbrellas in here. There's one. This one is going for you and I. So we'll go with the pinkish umbrella to match your hair.
Okay.
I'll do that. Tart, not overwhelmingly rummy. The scotch has not yet permeated through. It might be a very different drink if you were to just sip it, not using the straw. But this one goes to our guests, and if they would like a second straw, I can do that.
Okay.
If that would be, do you want second straw? No? Yes, second straw.
What we do a
We'll do a metal one for the second straw to make it easy. And you probably can't tell, but they're both green. Green, green. So there you go. And, okay. There we go. All right. There you have a riff on the fog cutter. What's the riff? The riff is I used a scotch instead of a cream sherry. That second sip, I think the scotch was beginning to permeate down a little bit. There's a little different flavor to it, a little more complexity. It doesn't have the heaviness that you would expect from something that has like multi-layered rums in it. The gin's really pretty clean. The brandy, you can pick up the brandy notes, but it's certainly not overpowering. And the rum is so clean as to really not give you any of that funk or sweetness that you would expect from rum. I mean, it's there, but it's much more of a Bacardi white rum experience in the drink. All right, so that's our fog cutter. Yummy drink. You can drink a couple of those and be just fine. It's a little bit, in my mind, of a tiki drink for those that really aren't keen on the big funky rums or the really multi-layered complexity of some of the more aggressive tiki drinks. So as a consequence, we're going to have to move in that direction and go with the second drink for the evening, which is definitely one of the more aggressive drinks in the tiki canon. So the reputation goes, you were not allowed to order more than one zombie at the original Beach Bum Berries. Excuse me. Wow, brain is gone. Brain is gone. When the zombie was created, it was put on the menu. There was a warning on the menu that said only limit of one per person because they're so freaking strong. But they don't taste that way, which is really the problem. And I've toned back the zombie recipe that I did last week to something that is going to make me actually able to function tomorrow. So we're going to go with that one. It's a basic zombie recipe from Minimalist Tiki with a couple of little modifications based on what I have here, just so that I can customize the zombie to something that I do. Get rid of these. Oh, wait, there's yummy stuff in here. We're not getting rid of that. Oh. Look, there's still stuff in the mixing tin. Haha. And Star thought she was getting all the fog cutter. Neener. Okay. Unlike the fog cutter, the zombie is traditionally made with crushed ice and a flash blend. So what we have here are a pair of mixing tins. And these mixing tins are going to go over in the spindle blender once we've got all of the yummy goodness in them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some crushed ice in here, just a little bit of crushed ice. Then I'm going to put some ingredients in, and then I'm going to put some more crushed ice on, and then they're going to go in the spindle blender for just a real quick flash blend, and then we're going to get all zombified here. All right, so let's see what we can do. Here is my crushed ice container. And somewhere around here I have a scoop. Aha! Scoop. So the reason I put the crushed ice in, a little bit of crushed ice in first, is because some of the ingredients, like the Angostura bitters, you can drop them to the bottom of the glass. Then you load up the ice on top, and the Angostura just doesn't mix in quite as well. So I'm going to do it this way instead. All right, so what's in the zombie besides crushed ice? Lots of things. So one dash Angostura bitters. Here is my my bottle of Angostura bitters. I use enough of this stuff to where I have a great big bottle, and I just keep refilling this guy because that works for me. So this classic menu for the zombie requires 6 drops of absinthe, 1 teaspoon of grenadine, 3/4 ounce of lime juice, 1/2 ounce of something called Dawn's Mix, which I'll go into in a moment, 1/2 ounce of falernum, and then 1 ounce of a high octane 151 heavily overproofed Demerara rum. And here we're going to go with the Hamilton 151. And then 1.5 ounces of a lightly aged Puerto Rican or Spanish style rum. And we're going to go with, what are we going to go with? Let's go with the, yeah, I need to use up this bottle. We'll go with the Havana Club Añejo. So again, it's lightly aged. Not a whole lot of difference in flavor profile from my perspective between that and the Blanco, but that's what we're going to use here. And then we need 1.5 ounces of an aged, significantly aged Jamaican rum. Now, last weekend I was making these with Smith & Cross, and I was getting a little cross-eyed when I did it. So we're going to step down the proof of that rum, and we're going to go with the Plantation. I can't pronounce that. It begins with an X. I have no idea how to pronounce. It looks like Jamaica with an X. So we're going to use this. It's quite good. The first time I had that was at a lecture by Martin Kate here in DC in the Smithsonian. It was so much fun, I had to run right out and find a bottle of it. The lecture was fun. I had to run right out and find a bottle of the rum, but yeah, okay, you got it. You understand. All right, so what are we going to do here? We're going to explain Don's mix. So in the old days of Tiki, it was very common for bartenders to try and rip off other bartenders and lift their recipes and take them to other restaurants. And so Don Beach, Don the Beachcomber, had a clever way of making sure this didn't happen. So his back bar would just have all these bottles with labels on them. Mix number 1, mix number 2, rum number 1, rum number 2, Mariano's number 1, Don's number 2, all of these different mixes. And the bartenders learned to make the drinks by the mix numbers, not by what's actually in them. So it would be like 2 dashes of Don's mix number 1 and 1 dash of, the Don's rum mix number 3. And they'd have no idea what rums are in there or what's in anything else. Dave, Beach Bum Berry, God that he is, master historian of tiki cocktails, went out and tracked down the bartenders, the recipes, the flavor profiles, and tried to recreate them as best he could in a series of very good books, of which I am now the proud owner of a couple that I had not had previously, and allows us to do things like going, what's in the Don's mix? Well, the Don's mix actually turns out is really simple. It's 2 parts of grapefruit juice and 1 part of allspice dram. Yes? Yes, allspice dram. No, sorry, not allspice dram. 2 parts grapefruit juice, 1 part spiced or cinnamon simple syrup. Right. So where I go off book here is I have a custom mix that has some allspice dram, has some absinthe in it, has a little falernum and a couple of other things, and that's what I'm going to be using in place of the falernum, part of the Don's mix, and a couple of other things. So we're going to be using that instead. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to start with a dash of Angostura. Just one dash Angostura. By the way, if I haven't mentioned it before, and I'm sure I have, this stuff stains. Be careful. Okay, the 6 drops of absinthe is going to be coming from here. So we have 1 teaspoon of grenadine. This is what I get for not prepping. I have to go back to the fridge to go get the grenadine. Now we're ready to go. I need 1 teaspoon of grenadine. And here I have a custom grenadine mix, but you can use whatever grenadine you want as long as it's not the bright red, high fructose corn syrup stuff. No bad person, bad dog, no biscuit. All right, so here we go. Grenadine. Now I've got a bar spoon here. Do I have? No, I do not. My measuring spoons are upstairs. Yes, my measuring spoons are upstairs, so I'm going to do a couple of bar spoons here. There's 1, 2, we're going to go 3, which is probably way too much grenadine, but this is a nice grenadine, so it'll make for a very interesting addition to the zombie here. There's 2, there's 3. I'll just drop that in there. Turns out you didn't need to because there was still some in the...
I saw it. So shout out hi to Ann Carey, Belinda Jameson, Maggie Waters.
Maggie!
And there was one more person and now I've forgotten.
Are they...
Sorry.
Nope, we can't tell because we can't scroll.
Right.
Or I can't scroll here. Because just out of reach here. All right, so zombie. There's the teaspoon of grenadine. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice.
Kathy.
Kathy. Oh, Kathy. Got it. All right. Lime juice. See, I love my wife. I love my wife for many, many reasons. Not the least of which is when I say, hey, I'm thinking about making tiki drinks. I need some lime juice. she juices me some limes. This is full of lime juice. And if you've been watching any of these Quarantiki, you know we go through a lot of lime juice when making tiki drinks. All right, I'm being slow here, so my crushed ice is melting. We'll deal with it. All right, 3/4 of an ounce, 3/4 of an ounce, freshly squeezed lime juice. There you go. All right, so there's our lime juice. Now we get to like the Dawn's mix, the falernum, etc. So instead of that, we are going to use my homemade mix, which is here. And this works out to about 3/4 of an ounce of this, plus 1/3 of an ounce of grapefruit juice. And you are going to have to put up with me one more time. And I was wrong when I said I wouldn't have to take off the mic, because as it turns out, unless I can convince my wife to come in and grab me the grapefruit juice, I'm going to have to go to the fridge to get some grapefruit juice. So let's see whether or not that makes it into the ether fast enough for her to come and get me the grapefruit juice. Doesn't look like that's happening. I'm going to hold off on adding the grapefruit juice. I'm going to start in with the rums in the hopes that through the ether, the message gets here that I need grapefruit juice. So let's go with the Hamilton 151. Brand new bottle of Hamilton 151 as of, last weekend, and we're already putting a dent in it. All right, full ounce Hamilton 151.
Ace Beverage in DC. Awesome curbside pickup.
Awesome selection. Every time I walk in there, I see rums that I've either only heard of or have never heard of and would have liked to. So I've got a bottle of the Penny Blue rum that's on the bar over here that I'd only heard tell of Penny Blue, and they had it on the shelves. Shelves. All right. Okay, so we're going to go with not fresh grapefruit juice. Deal with it. It's what we have on hand. There's only so many things I can ask my wife to juice. Here we need about 1/3 of an ounce, right? Love having these guys marked on the inside. All right, so there we go. There's 1/3 of an ounce. Third of an ounce. Now I have to remember where I was. If I remember correctly, okay, so this takes care of the bitters, the absinthe, the grenadine, the lime juice, the Dawn's mix, the falernum, the Hamilton 151. Now we need the lightly aged Puerto Rican style rum, which is the Havana Club, 1.5 ounces. Ounce and a half. Ounce and a half, maybe a little high on the 1.5 ounces. And then the aged Jamaican rum. So the Jamaican rums all have a certain funk to them that is just unexplainable what that flavor is, but you know it when you've had it. I just have to say that it's got to be due to the dunder pits that they use and the predominance of pot stills. So we've got 1.5 ounces of this, which means we're going to get a lot of funk on this drink. Ounce and a half, aged Jamaican. 1.5 ounces, aged Jamaican. All right. For those that were giving me a hard time with Nickelback, I've now got Van Halen playing, so deal. It's just my personal taste. Fog cutter's still yummy. All right. Gotta admit, it really is very lemony, though. I might cut back on the lemon just a tinge next time I do these guys, the fog cutters. All right, more crushed ice. Full scoop crushed ice. Full scoop crushed ice. Look about right. Let's even this guy out a bit. There we go. All right, to the spindle blender we go. There's one. That's two. All right, now we need a cocktail glass to put a zombie in. What the heck are we going to do? Well, just so happens that there's a new tiki mug in the collection. So apparently, a friend of ours, acquaintance of ours that runs Tiki Thursdays is getting rid of part of his collection and was selling off tiki mugs. And my wife saw one of the ones that he was selling and said, I think my husband needs to have this. So meet the newest edition. Here we go. Look at this guy. That's almost a, I don't know, the Davy Jones kind of look to him, but it's scaled on the back, so I'm thinking Cthulhu-esque. It's a baby blue color on the inside. Very cool. All right, so we're going to just pour straight in. It's also a friggin' enormous mug, so we're going to add a little more ice to this. There we go. There's our zombie. No float. And then for our dear friends, we need another tiki mug for them. What could I do for them? Well, there's an entire tiki cabinet over here. So I'm going to go take a look and see what I think they need. Back, and we're going with dun dun dun, Jabba the Hutt. Yeah, okay, so it's not a Polynesian tiki mug. Sue me. I like Star Wars. I even kind of like Jabba. All right, in we go. They need a little more crushed ice because Jabba's a big boy. Now, the thing is, with mugs like this, the mug is the garnish. There's nothing you can really do with this. You can't drop greenery in here. I could run to the back and do a great big mound of mint, but kind of what's the point in that? You know, this just, here, drink out of Jabba the Hutt. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to send this out. They're going to enjoy a zombie. We're going to keep this here.
Oh,
maybe. Going with our glass bamboo straws because I really like these great big straws. Stir that a little bit. Take a sip of the zombie. This is a happy man. That little custom mix that I've got, it's got some falernum, some allspice dram, the absinthe in it. Really lends a really nice note to this. The Demerara 151, the Hamilton 151, really stands up very, very well. Yeah.
That's good.
Could do with maybe just a tinge more sweetness to it. But you know, it's all right. If I were doing this the classic way, again, I would have used the Dawn's mix, which is the grapefruit juice and a spiced or cinnamon simple syrup. So my spiced syrup is not just cinnamon. So I went with some very common tropical flavors for the spicing in here. So there's allspice, there's clove, there's a little cardamom in here, as well as some cinnamon. And altogether, this makes this a much more complex syrup than just the cinnamon syrup. But doing a classic zombie, again, you go 2 parts grapefruit juice, 1 part of your syrup, usually a cinnamon-infused syrup, and then a 1/2 ounce of the falernum, 6 drops of the absinthe. In this case, because I have this little bad boy mixture that I need to mix more up, which combines a variety of those ingredients, but not the grapefruit juice. So I would just use that. And that's what makes this the home version of Minimalist Tiki's Zombie. So there we go. That's what I had planned for this evening, was just to do the 2 drinks. We have friends sitting out on the back porch that are a safe social distance away. And I'm going to go don a mask, shove a straw underneath it, and go sip a cocktail with them, and actually enjoy seeing people face to face in real life. Not that I don't love all of you, but I can't see you. You can see me, but, you know, being a Leo, that works for me, but only to some extent. You know what you can't do with a mic? You can't walk away from your set.